Hey, welcome back to our program. Well, we're a show that's heard all over the nation, but the entire nation was paying attention to the huge football game that took place this past weekend. LSU, number one team in the country, the team that operates in my home city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We broadcast on WJBO, our flagship station, Clear Channel Radio. The team is playing Alabama, the number two team in the country. I don't have to tell most of you that. It was hyped up for weeks in terms of being not just the game of the year, the game of the decade, but the game of the century. Turned out to be a heck of a game. Wasn't quite as exciting as some people wanted. I think we liked the wide open football with lots of scoring, lots of pass plays. It was more the traditional 30 years ago grind out type football. Good kicking was important to the victory, and also just the hard knock play within the defensive and offensive lines. And so not a lot of memorable plays, but it sure was a hard fought football game. And I'll tell you, it got down to the end. Now there wasn't many memorable plays, but the play not of the game, but probably of the entire season is going to be what happened in the final minutes of the game. Alabama score was tied 6-6. Alabama was marching on to getting close to a touchdown. They're a very competent quarterback, A.J. McCarron, first-year quarterback for Alabama, sophomore, first year playing. He is there taking the snap. Well, they played what is called the Wildcat, where the snap could go to more than one player. And so a wide receiver and I think halfback, Marquis Mays ends up getting the ball. He's the punt returner for Alabama. He goes back and throws a tremendously 40-yard pass, right not to the 1 yard line, to the 1 foot line. And they've got a very competent wide receiver, Nick Williams, who goes up for the ball. Williams is about 6'4 or 6'5". He leaps like he's above the basketball rim in basketball, up about 10 or 11 feet, and catches this ball. As he's coming down, Eric Reed, outstanding quarterback for LSU, is covering somebody else, but as Reed sees the flight of the ball goes up, he goes after the ball. And as Williams, the Alabama receiver, goes up, Eric Reed goes up with him. Williams kind of juggles the ball just for an instant, about halfway down. Reed grabs that ball. They both pounce on the ground. Reed pulls it out and intercepts the pass. It would have been an Alabama touchdown. He comes down on the 1 foot line. If not, it would have been a 1 foot score. Alabama would have gone on and, quite frankly, would have won the game. So it's really the play of the decade, if you will, in the game that just mesmerized so many people. It was so exciting. Now the big discussion is, should they replay for the national championship? And that the top two teams, they go into overtime for LSU to win on a kick. Should they play again for the national championship? Well, if you're listening to us out in Oklahoma, in Idabel, Oklahoma, you say no, you're for the Oklahoma State team to win. They got to be undefeated. They got to play Oklahoma yet. And you've got Boise State, and you've got our listeners out in the San Francisco area that are pulling for Stanford. So this is a long time to play out. But I can tell you, it sure was lively in Baton Rouge and the state of Louisiana this past weekend. We had about 50 people over to our home, I think. Television sets in the living room, the dining room, the den, all over the house. People were glued to the TV sets. Alabama looked like it had the momentum and had a little bit of the edge, although they didn't really score through most of the game. That's what neutral observers felt like. So there wasn't a lot of cheering at our house until that final play when, first of all, several times when Eric Reed went up and made that unbelievable interception, and then the final kick, the final field goal that won the game in overtime for LSU. My house went nuts. I finally had to get ready for our radio show, went to sleep, and when I did, the house was still lively, full of people. I'm sure they were there for a long, long time to come. So we were excited about the victory. We congratulate LSU on its tremendous victory, and it's going to be an exciting football year for some time to come in terms of who ends up playing for the national championship. Hey, I'll be right back right after this message.